The night we met, I was carrying around a backpack full of tin cans and glass mason jars. I'd been stringing the last of my tin cans across the city like clotheslines, through them, calling out to strangers, asking them if they counted their years like laundry, folding each week into the next. I asked you if past tense ever really happens, or it's just a shoebox full of Post-it notes we hand into another's keeping. You smiled and said you weren't really sure of anything, except maybe Latin endings and chemistry. But you confessed to me then that you began to witness your own collapse. You tucked your hand into the open mouth of science sitting between us and said, we are just particles. And they are not so much rearranging anymore as they are shrinking and becoming mist inside of us. You said you could feel yourself slowly collapse backwards into a memory right there in front of me. You said you could feel the photo albums begin to form in your arms. I replied, I am carrying around mason jars and they are beginning to empty. And I'm looking for a home for them, for a shelf for these glass bodies, for a front foyer, for a Chesterfield rotting with the kiss of termites. I guess I'm looking for the kind of love that leaves the kitchen door unlocked. That night, we decided the shelves of our home would be lined with mason jars, each one of them labeled with names of places we hope to go to together. And the sound of coins joining hands in hearts of open glass would ring through the hallways of this house in jars labeled Stonehenge, Pyramids, Sundays spent so lazy, Parenthood. And the oldest jar we have, we will keep that one by the back door. So it will not witness any exit. It cannot pair safely with a return. We will label that jar Sympathy. In that jar, we will put our first hair colors before we begin to silver. In that jar, we will put our tantrums, for they will belong to our children now. In that jar, we will put the eulogies of our parents. And one of us will need to visit that glass cage first. And this truth will hollow me out like the sound of unsettled change loose in my ribcage. When my mother falls, the third and final time. When your father stops calling. When the smell of my brother's clothes in his closet becomes the perfume of my tears. How early is too early to meet the person you will always grow beside? How young is just too young to know the one you will shrink in front of? The night we met, there was the sound of unsettled change joining in a heart of open glass somewhere in my middle ear, because that night was rearranging around us. If we are collapsing in place, then each time we kiss, we become clothesline years of particles, folding into the spaces we have left open and empty for each other's hands.